I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Calling the meeting to order at 6:06 p.m. On December 9th, 2024. Remember roll call. Say aye are present. James Oku. Natalie Sayer present. John Bars. John Bars.
Present.
Peter Markey. Ryan Higby.
Yeah.
Cole
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Crystal Shea.
Is there another one?
This one for
now. Okay.
Minor County's on its way. Natural Resource Conservation Staff Jim Howard. San Mateo County Ag Commissioner Corin Little.
Almost.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll go back to that for the record. Farm Bureau Executive Director Jess Brown. UC Co-op Extension Representative Dr. Igor Levon.
Present.
Very nice. Thank you, everybody. What did you say? It's Olivia. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Olivia Boo, San Mateo County Planning Liaison.
Present.
Item number 3, oral communication to allow the public to address the committee on any matter not on the agenda. If your subject is not on the agenda, the chair will recognize you at this time. Public people present in the room? Anyone? No? Anyone online?
No.
Okay, so we'll move to item number 4. Consideration of meeting minutes for the November 18th, 2024 meeting. I wanted to discuss that for a minute before we call or move to accept them. But first, I want to ask if anyone get a chance to read them. Everybody got a chance to read them? Okay. And then there was was on item D for the change in that we voted on for the ag tourism title page. Will we get a copy of the new document? Olivia? Wanted to
Let
ask.
me pull yeah, let me pull that one up. I want to go back to the minutes that you're looking at. I don't have it up yet.
Okay.
Sorry.
Minutes.
Surprisingly good. Not from last year. Yeah. Oh, fruitcake. It's like, we're not short stopper.
Just let me know when you're ready.
That is the item 4, is that correct? Or, I'm sorry,
Yes.
D for dog?
Oh, the one I was referencing,
Yes.
item D, line 3. What's the second line under the bowl?
The ag tourism event application title?
Yeah, we voted
Okay.
the last meeting to change it, but I was wondering if we would see the final copy here before any applicants submit.
Oh, got it. Yeah, let me check on that because it'll take time to update that.
Okay, should I proceed then to accept the minutes and then you can get back to us when you know about that?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So do we have a motion to accept the minutes from the Monday, November 18th, 2024 meeting? Anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, so do we have a second to approve the minutes? Thanks.
So sorry, I have John Var's motion to approve. Who did the second?
I'll second that.
Thanks.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Who's not here? I wasn't here.
Okay, so, and Cole and Ryan are gonna abstain, is that correct? Because they weren't present at that meeting. And then I have a question, the previous minutes between, I think there's several prior to this one, going back several months. Do we have
correct.
a word on when you think those might be available?
I'm just gonna keep on working on them.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. I know that's quite a task. Thank you. So next. Number 5, officer elections for chair and vice chair. These positions are required to be filled by finalists. So I have not done this before, part of this. So any input on how I should do it, Mr. O'Neill?
Yeah, just ask for nominations from the floor.
Okay, so do I have nominations from the floor?
I'm the chair, I nominate you and do it again.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, thank you. I would like to do it again since we started that big project. So then we can really work, I'd like to be able to work on that in the position of chair and everything else. Is there any other nominations for chair though? No? Okay, so now we vote.
Yep.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no, you won't upset me, I promise. No? Okay, thank you very, very much. And for committee nomination for vice chair, do we have a nomination?
John, do you want to do it again? No, that's okay. Okay, because if you don't want to do it, I would do it, but if I want to do it.
Then somebody has to nominate.
No.
Well, I'll nominate Peter Markey for vice chair.
Second.
All those in favor, say, aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So, Peter is the new vice chair and I'm continuing as chair. Write it down. So.
And then who seconded for Peter?
I did.
Thank you. And then sorry, who seconded for Natalie?
I did as well.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda is the committee nomination for AAC secretary. Please note those not present. I know we had the joke about that last time about nominating them because it is a lot of them. But are there any nominations for AAC secretary? I think that.
Comes to the secretary.
Hey, the secretary.
Yeah.
Perfect timing, Deanna.
I apologize.
No.
My son took my car. I was working on something and I walked out to go to this meeting and there's no car there.
No. She walked into becoming secretary.
All right. Secretary.
Wait, would you be interested? I don't want to nominate you unless you're interested.
I think about it for 30 seconds. Do that.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna circle back to that, to Daniel. Would you like some pancakes?
She's sweetening the deal.
Right. Okay. So. We'll go back to AAC Secretary, number 7, committee member update and or questions to allow committee members to share news and or concerns for items not on the agenda. So does any committee members have anything that is not on the agenda that they want to share at this time? The chair recognizes Peter Markey.
Yeah, I spoke to Marilyn Johnson. Because you asked me to about being a committee guest. She's interested. She couldn't make it tonight. And she did reach out back to you and so you know that she applied a while back. So just.
Yeah, I asked them to kind of figure out what happened, and if I remember, I sent her an email that said, do you want to try to find your original application, or should we just start over? Just sometimes it's easier.
Start over is probably easier.
So I follow up. Yeah, I think I remember sending that email, but I don't remember a response, so I will follow up with it tomorrow. Yeah,
Thank you.
but it was like right around Thanksgiving, holiday, you know what I mean?
So, anyone else, committee member with an item not on the agenda? No? Okay, I have one. I just want to circle back and double check. I want to do this periodically at each meeting. At the previous meeting, it was noted that regarding the farm labor housing forgivable loan program, it was noted that Supervisor Mueller was exploring money sources and implementation. So I just wanted to see if there was anything new on that yet.
No, I'm sure that's also staff. I mean, I think they're also waiting to see what the federal government does and what the state government does. So I'm sure there's not going to be any updates on that until later.
Okay, so I'll check in every couple months.
Yeah, I think March or April.
Okay.
Well, the governor's coming out with a budget in January, his proposed budget. Then he comes out with the May revised. And then they have to vote on it by July 1st. So I would think after January, I think it's January 15th, the governor's proposed budget.
Okay,
We'll see, this is what he's talking about proposing. So it's not set in stone. But I'll see if there's any way to find out if he put that money in there.
where did they get the money before when it was in place?
I think that was a combination of state and federal funds. It was done before I was here,
Right,
but I believe it was state and federal funds.
okay. So they had allocated funds for it specifically, and then they stopped doing that.
Yes, I mean, I can, check and see if Ray wants us to try to advocate with Berman and Becker for the two state representatives, and if they're willing, if they want to advocate and put a little, bug in their ear for it.
Sure, is that okay with the committee? I think that'd be lovely. All right, thanks, Mike.
No guarantee.
Of course. But yeah, I think because it was in place at one point, I think a bug in the ear would be okay, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, but I mean, just realize too, is last I heard, they're looking at a, $15 billion deficit, so I wouldn't count on this for next week's groceries, Were you asking me something?
No,
Well, no. Go ahead, the chairman,
Yeah.
Madam Gary Burke.
yeah, I didn't know whether there was any of that Measure K money that ever went for it either in the past. But I mean, now with our deficits, obviously that's a different issue.
Right, I mean, I think they're gonna be holding the nickel so tight that Buffalo's gonna be squealing this year. Or tax. Yeah, I mean, it's, not. Lincoln's gonna have a goatee instead of a beard.
So you're saying it's possible that there was some.
Yeah, I thought that we had, but again, situation, let's go around. And,
So we don't know for sure. Okay.
Well, I mean, I gotta say though, is remember the governor's big issue that he wants to run on is housing, so it might get it, go, who knows?
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, anything else for committee members with updates and our questions, allowing committee members to share news and our concerns? Corin, I'm looking at you, because you usually have.
I'll keep it short.
The chair recognizes Corin Little.
Thank you. So for private applicator certificates, those with the last name A through H will be expiring at the end of the month. And so to renew, you must take the new exam. And so we are holding study sessions this month at Farm Bureau's conference room on Thursday, the 12th, and also on Thursday, the 19th at 1 p.m. So we'll be showing a training video and then administering the exam afterwards. So even if someone wants to get a head start, theirs hasn't expired yet, but you want to get it over with, feel free to show up. And
19th, the same as the 12th.
it's the same exact thing. The reason why we're doing it 1 week afterwards is because if you don't pass the test on, you have to wait 7 days. So we're having to see exactly 7 days afterwards. So
The training video be available online.
the training video is available, and I don't know if it's online, but I think it is because Napa County is the one who put it together. So I'm pretty sure we pulled it off of their YouTube website.
Any questions?
I don't know.
Is it open book?
An open book, but there is a study guide and we can provide you the study guide. We're letting people borrow it. And there is the training video.
It's a
So
different study guide,
it is different than the training video. It's like a
but different from last year.
It shouldn't be different from last year.
George General.
I've heard about the George Miller, but yeah, so we're hoping this will help, you know, help everybody with the questions.
Peter told me that story, so
Yeah.
I always appreciate the story of someone, you know, of the old days who's been around for a while, and yeah, the George Janelle test.
Yeah.
That would be the kind I would like.
Yeah, so we have that happening. Please let us know because we will have to prepare the test. So if you want to show up,
What time is it? The 12th and 19th?
one, yeah,
Both of these.
yeah, both at the same time.
And if it's not expiring, you'll be doing something like this again next year for folks or.
Yeah,
because
we
you're
could, now that we
changing
got it
this
figured
year,
out, we could do it again if you're not, you just have to take the exam one time because it's new material. So once you pass the exam, you're fine. You can continue to renew with continuing education hours. So you basically need 2 every year, 2 continuing education hours, which typically you can get with our growers. Program. So, like I said, if you want to get ahead of it, you can.
Come
too.
to one
It's-
of these sessions.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know, I'm just not making any promises, I guess, for next year.
Right,
That's a
yeah.
whole year away. We have field worker pesticide safety training on March 5th in Tuscadero and March 6th in Half Moon Bay, and that's an annual training that we helped provide the material that needs to be covered for the training there. And then last week we sent out an as fresh as it gets survey to find out who's might be interested in participating in a growers showcase for restaurants in San Mateo County to kind of encourage as fresh as it gets use. So we can't do it without growers. So we're trying to see if anyone's interested in doing this showcase event. We're calling it a farmer's market just to kind of get, you know, for lack of a better term, really, but yeah.
And that's only gonna be for restaurants?
Well, restaurants and grocers, so San Francisco Peninsula, the Visitor and Conventions Bureau, they have a great connection with restaurants. And so they're gonna heavily advertise it with to their restaurants that are in their association, so. And then we got a list of grocers in the area, and we're trying to see if we could kind of do something a little bit different to try to encourage and promote.
I didn't see an email on that. So.
You didn't see an email? Okay. I'll take notes and send, did anyone else see an email?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
on.
Okay.
The survey. you mean.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
survey,
survey.
yeah, yeah.
What was the title?
It's as fresh as it gets.
So you're calling it a showcase? Is it?
Showcase.
What is it exactly? Is it what they did?
So
before? Is
really
it
what
something
we're
different?
trying to do, because San Francisco Peninsula would do the farm tours every year and try to bring restaurants around to the farms. And at that point, it's only, really maybe 1 or 2 farms, 3 farms at the most. And so this way we could get more farms in the room so that people can network, and it's still an idea. And so we're just trying to gather interest.
That's great. Thanks. The chair recognizes Gary Bird.
We used to do it at IDS. They had it set up, years and years ago. And then it went down to the Half Moon Bay Lodge. We had it outside at a different time of year. And and they would give awards, to the restaurants that really would showcase and, the local produce and items that we have here, products and things. So that would, and it just, but it takes a lot of coordination to do, but it was very active there for a while. And it kind of fell off, but it's a real nice event. It used to really be a nice event.
Nice.
So this will be a little bit different than the awards.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're I think they're still planning on doing the awards to get interest in the restaurants.
To show, because the restaurant people actually showed up too, and it was nice, besides them having, and they used to actually sometimes have booths at the IDS, but of course at the lodge, it was more, I think they had, it's just hard to remember, but they did have some booths, but and just some food out, and yeah, it was.
Maybe if you tell the restaurants that I get an award next year, if they buy a lot.
Yeah.
So what's the location of the
So
showcase?
it's the Expo Center in San Mateo.
Really?
And I know that there was concern about it being over like on the Bayside. So if that is a concern, please fill out the survey and say why. The thought about having it on the Bayside was that's where most of the restaurants are, and the grocers and stuff that would encourage them to show up and get them kind of talking to you all and sharing.
Where did you target sending out the survey? I didn't.
So
see
we
anything.
I
use,
just forwarded it.
Okay.
I don't know if you-
Sorry, I did the same.
okay. Yeah, we did our, so you got it though. We did our
I did,
operator IDs and also our certified producer certificate list. And I know that everyone's not on that, so that should be.
Nice. When was the last time an event had taken place? One of these? It's been a while,
The
hasn't it?
tour, one of the tours happened.
I think we've had
And-
before.
I think- Yeah, yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it really.
It never, yeah, I
Tried
participated a
that.
few times. I don't think I got a single account.
There were a lot
Yeah.
of
Mostly
people.
hotel restaurants.
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
People that are getting paid to go on the tour.
Yeah.
I suppose people who are generally wanting to buy something.
Yeah,
I think an expo might be a better format, just because it's so people come out here on board, expo might be a better.
and it does take,
Yeah.
I did do one tour and it does take all day. So that's kind of a significant amount of time for like the restaurant industry to
Yeah,
spend.
yeah, we should fill out the survey, but
Yeah.
my thing with this is that like, if we're showcasing our products, then we're like, to make it look impressive, like you kind of need to bring a lot of stuff. And then
And
it's
that's
like,
not-
am I harvesting a bunch of stuff to take it to an expo where it won't actually be purchased? Or like, you know. and then,
Yeah. You know, the other thing is that the time of year that we're
We don't-
looking at, is April.
Where we don't really. have
Yeah.
the show.
So you might not have much to show, but maybe if there's another way to like kind of
Some beautiful
showcase
photos.
your stuff, yeah, like,
Court, is the county gonna give nothing as farmers, but some sort of marketing assistance to the farmers, you know, because you guys are farmers, right? And you need, you know, at least a tablecloth to put on the table or one of those stand-up screen, you know what I mean? Some sort of help them to market to the restaurants there.
Help with their booths.
Help with their booths
Yeah.
and just to get people in the door.
yeah.
What's the marketing plan for that?
There
To
is
solve
no
it.
marketing plan for that necessarily, but I think that those ideas are important and can be shared in the comment section on the survey. I did look through the survey just to see, because the survey was put together by San Francisco Peninsula. I might have shared it with you as well. I don't-
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I remember the email, but I don't
Yeah.
think you sent me the survey. Cause
uh,
I'm not a producer, you know what I mean? So,
No, it wasn't, but you could fill it out still. Just put, who you are.
okay.
That's what I was,
Yeah,
so if
well, I
anyone's
didn't
not a
actually look at it.
producer, it still has comments, like, just fill it out. I think, all are welcome. Cause the more, interest we get and ideas, I'm not a marketer, so. San Francisco Peninsula though is.
And you're at
And
the,
they
you're at the,
can, yeah,
and you're at the ground of this.
yeah,
So the survey is just your first start, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
So that's good. Cole, since you're recognized.
Just make one recommendation in the process is I think having a list or survey sent out to all the restaurants that would be invited would be helpful, just to kind of get at least
Get them.
it makes an indication of who's even interested in sourcing from farms directly. Just because as somebody who's done a lot of scouting, different restaurants, groceries on the fence and stuff like that, some of them are into it, but it's a lot easier to have a list to start with, of like being like, okay, this place will work with farms directly versus this place is just like, I'm doing my distributor. So I think having that list shared into all the farms, you have emails and contact information for each restaurant that makes your respond with the gains for each business, eventually would be helpful. And then we can all have that as sort of a joint community resource where we can use that to do our marketing independently.
Right, so if you're gonna call somebody, at least
You
we
know,
have an idea that they've said that they're interested in
Yeah.
buying directly, whether they actually do it or not.
Totally, yeah, because there's some places that just are like, no, I'm good, I've got my distributor,
Your
yeah.
system, yeah.
Yeah,
It's helpful that that is a baseline.
and probably has some experiences, but a lot of us grew up before a lot of restaurants, and San Mateo is not like,
Not a hub for it.
they're very, very little interest in San Mateo County.
Okay.
Restaurants buying from farms like ours. So, yeah, I would think broader.
San
and-
Francisco.
Yeah,
The chair recognizes James O'Toole.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had that same sentiments trying to sell our lettuce. But instead of, could we also get the distributors, all the people from the terminal, all the droppers, and have them come as well?
Maybe there might be more of a chance that you could get produce buyers to come and you could get restaurants that do. I just haven't heard some saying the kinds of restaurants that want to source local are so busy. The chefs aren't going to send staff to them. It's hard to get them to go to it. But I could see reaching out to distributors and getting their buyers to go and get these products. It's just.
Go ahead.
One last thing I would just mention is, in addition to restaurants, there's so much more funding now for school districts. And there are a lot of school districts that I know within San Mateo County that are interested in kind of getting into the sourcing revenue from farmers space. It might be worthwhile to reach out to them as well, because I think because it's a relatively new concept, I think a lot of them don't know where to start. So that would be a good,
I have a question. Does is the expo center giving the space, or is the county paying for that space?
Good question. That has yet to be completely worked out, but
I was just
think the
wondering if
mayor
we had
was
it.
saying something that we.
Okay. It's kind of, I was just thinking if there was a way, and I'll put this in a survey, but it might be too late, is to take the money that's used for the venue and put that toward marketing. You see what I'm saying? Like, in other words, if the venue is charging something, even if they're doing a deal,
Mhm.
that money could be perhaps used for marketing, and the venue could be maybe on somebody's farm or something like that. You know, because with acres, we definitely have the space, and I know that's, you know, putting the cart before the horse, but it sounds like you're already working with the venue, but maybe
Yeah.
that's something for the future.
We are. So San Francisco Peninsula is facilitating this through their contract.
Okay, so it's not. I
Yeah.
understand. Okay. I got you.
Mhm.
Okay, so, the chair recognizes James.
Another group of people that might be interesting to look for would be the people that put together like the little food crates or like the prepared meal crates. Those have also been really big customers from us.
Do you know how to get a hold of those?
For the,
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, okay.
There's a bunch of containers.
Well, if it sounds like it's all stuff
that one,
that's
it's not as big now.
good to put in the surveys.
Yeah.
I'll
If it-
mention to in the Food Systems Alliance about it as well. That might be another avenue.
Is there a deadline for the surveys?
There is not a deadline on there. I was noticing that. Sooner the better,
Okay.
just because this is gonna be taking, you know, a bit to plan.
Okay. That sounds good. And also, obviously, any intel that you all have on, like you said, the food cards or whatever, getting that to you.
Yeah.
So then it gives you less to research.
Yeah.
If in fact we know.
And I think too, if it's in the survey, it helps to compile it all into one, like all the information and comments and ideas.
Right,
In one
people
place.
reference it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you.
and they're all all the surveys are going to the San Francisco Peninsula, so they're gonna be like sorting through it.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anything else, on, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just trying, I was like trying to think, I couldn't even think of any of the names of those meal kit people, but. Yeah. Hello Fresh, it's one of them.
Yeah, that's true. Well, anything else on that? Before?
Nope, that's
Um,
it for me.
The chair recognizes Peter Murphy.
You don't talk about the ongoing training. Get you that, places I'd, continuing hours, and then after you had the the food safety, seminar on food safety.
Oh, yeah, at the growers workshop,
Yes.
yeah. Do you have a question about it?
I thought you talked a little bit about that, and then remember where she talked about, as far as the food safety, that, if you sell less than 270-mile radius, it was like a little more than $600,000 gross sales, and the sales were to direct sales to restaurant, farmers markets, stores. You're exempt from food safety if you fit in that criteria.
Yeah, so that,
Example inspections.
Well, you get a certificate, so that, you can inspect it. So, and, I was surprised to hear that, because I thought it was, he sold over 5,000, but actually it was a little over 600,000, I forget exactly the right amount, and like I say, it's 270-mile radius, and in California, and, so.
it was direct sales to consumer,
Direct.
right?
Right,
Mhm.
and, that's,
This
So,
was at the growers workshop.
yeah, and that's the California Department of Food and Agriculture's jurisdiction is the food safety.
right, so that way,
Yeah.
you accept the inspection. And you actually get a certificate that you don't need to be audited. So, so I talked to her after the meeting, it was kind of interesting. That was that.
Is there a place that people can go to that are interested in this information? Because I appreciate you bringing it up. It sounds very
Actually, yeah, I
relevant.
have her card in your,
In
folder.
the packet, yeah.
Right up top, this to her contact, that
Mhm.
you can call her, so you have her contact. I
Yeah.
don't know if you want to bring it for next meeting.
We do, I can bring that.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be a good idea?
Yeah. Because there might be some small farms that fit that criteria that'd be interested.
Sounds fantastic. Very, very useful. Okay, and anything else, Corin? Sorry, I usually sit over there, so it's so weird sitting here. And so I'm just looking to my right. I apologize. The chair recognizes me. I'll do it.
Lauren, I was wondering if there are any resources that your team can provide for training on invasive species. I wanted to perhaps get some people from our neighborhood together to train them on some of the invasive species we're struggling with in the area. And I just didn't know if there were any county resources to put on something like that and help with something like that.
Okay, I will check with staff. I know we have our brochure. That with like a poster that can target certain
Right.
invasive.
Yeah, I was thinking just in terms of like an event, somebody coming out and getting
Yeah.
everyone together.
We don't have anything in the queue for that, but we can look into that.
That would be something.
Okay. All right, great. So, anything else from anybody? Corin, was that all of your, information?
That was it.
Okay, that was great. Thank you. Okay, anything else for committee members, updates and our questions that are not on the items not on the agenda? No? Okay. Planning and Building Department Director's Report. Everybody has that in their packet. If you don't, I think you might have some copies. Olivia, did you want to address that?
Yes, so there was no planning agricultural development applications that were heard or considered by the Board of Supervisors or Planning Commission. Upcoming planning agricultural permits, 2 were received, one for Moon Rock, located at 6090 Stage Road. Project planner is Dylan Parker. The second is Bonsai Heirloom, location 231 Bertano Cutoff, Pescadero. Summer Burleson is the project planner. And there were no coastal development exemptions were received at this time. And then for general announcements, the next meeting is January 13th. In the full packet that you all received online, it included the 2025 calendar dates. Those are being worked on. I'm sorry, just those are the calendar dates. And then let's see, for AAC vacancies, the applications are under review to fill open positions. And that
What
is
are the under review right now, the applicants?
correct.
Which
Yeah.
position? Okay. So the conservationist, and the 2 public, you have 2 applicants though that are under review, is that correct? Is that one? public?
Sorry,
What were the applicants, what positions or would they fill that they're under review now?
let me check if I have that information. I'm gonna dig for
I
that.
see, James showed me 3 that were open, but I think you said 2, so I was wondering what 2 of those 3. Oh, the chair recognizes Carrie Burke.
I just want to let the committee know that last Tuesday, the Board of Supervisors approved the Williamson Act contract for the 151 acres on Stage Road that you recommended for approval. So that's now a done deal. Part of the original Rata Ranch out there in San Gregorio and Pomponia.
Okay, thank you. I always like the follow-up Do you want to reference that, go back to that, and we'll just continue? However, we do know that there's 2 applicants under review, so that's good. In the interim. I'll just go forward for now. And next, is that it for the director's report, Olivia?
Yes, thank you.
So, regular agenda items, moving to that. We have applicant Sandy Sommer, is that how you pronounce your name? Over there. Sommer, is that correct?
Summer, yeah.
Summer? Okay, Sandy Sommer is the Peninsula Open Space Trust. The file number is PLN 2023-00297. The location is 4309 Cloverdale Road, Pescadero. The parcel number is 086270010. And the owner is Post Peninsula Open Space Trust in Mid-Penn Regional Open Space District. This is for consideration of a coastal development permit, CDP, and a planned ag district permit and a grading permit to construct 2 1,820 square foot duplex buildings to accommodate a total of 4 new farm labor housing units. And the rest, you know, what you read, or if you haven't read yet. And the request is that the AAC provide a recommendation to the Planning Commission on the subject application. So
And
were there any,
I just wanted to, tell everybody that this project, is a joint effort between Fifth Crow Farm and the Post. And so because I have a financial stake in the outcome of this item, I'm going to recuse myself from discussion. I sought some advice from Steve Monowitz, got back to me about how it may be most appropriate for me to leave the room while we discuss it. And then you all let me know when we're done with it. And
okay.
I don't think you.
Yeah, I don't think you need to, but if you feel you should, it's up to you.
I don't think so. First of all, I'm sure there's any question.
well, Teresa's here. And
Yeah.
we've got Laura and
It's your partner,
Sandra.
So if you leave, and she stays, it's. They both stay.
Well, I know
But
in the
she's
past,
not a- she's
people
not
have
a
said.
member.
Okay, did he say that you should leave?
He said it wasn't strictly necessary, but that it was most appropriate.
In my opinion, that's up to you.
It's up to you. Historically, we've never done that.
As long as you announced what you just did, I
Okay.
felt it was appropriate enough.
And as long as it's made clear that it's your choice, I don't want to set a precedent when this comes up in the future that we
That
have to
everyone
leave,
has to
because
leave.
that's, definitely not how it's been. However, we respect it if that's what you choose to do. It's up to you.
Okay.
Thank you. So we're gonna start the discussion. So you're okay?
Yeah, I will
Okay.
not say anything further.
Okay.
And gestures are allowed.
Facial expressions. Okay, so is there a presentation or is it just documents that have been submitted? And you're the planner on this, correct?
No.
And Sandy is the planner. Oh, she's the planner, okay.
Well,
Sorry.
Sorry,
Oh, no, Olivia may want to speak and then take it from there.
Okay, thank you, Peter, I appreciate it. Sorry, I do defer to my brother a lot, and rightfully so, so thank you. So having said that, who would like to start to talk about it? The planner?
Is Olivia going to give a presentation, Sam?
no, it's more of just if the applicant wants to do a quick overview, or you can just go directly to any questions you might have on the project.
Well, sure, let's just do some introductions. I'm Sandy Summer. I'm a consultant that's been working with Peninsula Open Space Trust and Pro Farm on this project. Here we also have Laura O'Leary from Post and Teresa Kurtak, who's one of the Fifth Crow Farm partners. Fifth Crow Farm is the tenant on the property, and Teresa's going to share Pro Farm's vision for this, farm worker housing.
I know everybody wants to get home, so I'm gonna try to keep it brief, and some of you already know a bit about our operation. I did serve on this committee a number of years ago, but we are a mixed vegetable operation. We grow currently, we've kind of grown to John's, you probably are a little bit familiar, but this is our 16th year in operation. We have about 30 employees. We operate on about 150 acres and a little more than, I don't know, at least 60 of it is veggies. We are constantly farming from year round. So it's a little bit difficult to track how much acreage at any given time. And this has been in the works for more than a decade. We've been trying to figure out how we could build housing for our employees. And I think everybody's pretty familiar with the dire income or low income affordable housing crisis in the county. And we were very lucky to be one of the last group to swoop through the loan program while it still had money. And we've been working on this for a number of years. We postponed it for the loan program to be rewritten. We postponed because of COVID. I mean, this has been gone on for many, many years. Took us a long time to figure out. We had the county, everybody tromped out onto the properties that we used, trying to find an appropriate location. So we spent a lot of time thinking about how to minimize the impact on our farming acreage. But I think as most people here, clearly, in order for farms to keep farming in San Mateo County, we need to have housing for farmers and farm workers. And it's a huge challenge for all of our businesses to keep operating when our employees and even ourselves can't find places to live. This project is pretty important to the 30-some people that work for us. Only, this is gonna house, it's 4 units. One of the things that we've observed that's really changed, I think, from previous generations, no longer are like barrack style housing really appropriate for our workforce. Almost all of our employees come with partners and kids. So this housing is intended, it's built to house, the rooms are equally sized. So we could house, say, 2 single people or 4 single people like in bunk beds, but it's really intended for a couple and a kid or 2. Which we have more than 6 couples that work for us, all of whom have children. We have young people that work for us we have 2 people that had babies this year. And a lot of them live in pretty dire, awful housing. And we're really hoping that we can manage to build something that is on a foundation that will weather the test of time and hopefully isn't just a piece of trash in 20 years, which is what most of the trailers that you can buy, which are about the same price, will end up being, is just trash in 20 years. So we're trying to build something that we hope will have good bones that at least a future farmer will be able to renovate. We feel like this is important to farm properties in San Mateo County, that farms aren't going to be viable in the future if there's no housing attached to them, because who can farm here if they can't live here? You can't afford to farm and commute 3 hours from somewhere else. So,
well said. I have a couple of questions. Is it okay to ask questions?
yeah. And I'm going to probably, the technical stuff, I'm going to let Sandy answer.
Okay. Is it, I didn't notice on reading this if it was, I didn't see that one, but I apologize. With the intertwined, so I'll read that so I don't waste your time. Go ahead and continue. I'm sorry.
If it is about prime soil,
Yes. Well, I just was going to ask if there was any prime soil on the property, but I apologize when I have read this before. I did not see this page. I see it now. So, my other question was because you mentioned affordable housing and a loan, but it's in effect farm labor housing. You're not opening it up to affordable.
no, this is farm labor housing, but I think it's important to kind of reframe the problem, because I feel like what's happened recently is that people are sort of using farms as a scapegoat for really what is a wider problem. Like, we don't have housing that our workers can afford. But this is only for our workers. We have 30 people employed and this is only gonna house eight of them.
Okay,
We have way more people that want this housing that are gonna be able to be in the housing.
but if you do this, then you certainly intend to house it with farm workers.
Yeah, we
not
actually are
just
tied.
people eligible for.
Yes, there's no, because of the restrictions of the loan program, there's no choice. We are locked into.
And is it the,
Farm labor
the loan forgiveness program for farm labor housing, or is it a different?
Yeah, it's this program that they've rewritten and then they only, I think, issued 2 loans after they rewrote it, but.
No, I'm familiar with it, but it is in fact the farm labor housing.
Mhm, yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful that you're doing that too, because that particular program is very restrictive to the farm owner currently. So
Yeah.
it shows, in my opinion, your character in terms of using it for what you're intending it to use it for, to really help the farm worker, in my opinion. So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, we're available to answer these questions and, I think that Teresa gave a great overview and, be happy to dig in wherever you're interested.
Chair recognizes James approved.
So I have a few questions. The first, I guess, is we have been interested on what's making it so hard for housing. So hearing that it's taken 10 years is a very long time, and I totally get it. But I would love to hear from you guys about some of the difficulties you guys have had and can document it so we can take a look at it and we can send it off to the board, because I would love to say hey, look, this is a case example. This is not acceptable that it should take this long. And it's ridiculous. And then the next part is I would love if you could share with us what the total cost of this whole project is, because I don't think the county has any idea of how much it actually costs to get this kind of stuff done anymore. I mean, to me, when I looked at those farm loan programs, it's not enough. It's not enough for anything. It's not even enough to get the water system. And so, especially if it's been a 10-year process, I would love to see every little bit of engineering, all the documents, all the drawings, engineering. Yeah, I know it's a tremendous amount, but if you can find a number, I'm really interested in seeing the total cost, because I applaud you. It's very hard to get this kind of thing through.
Yeah, I think it's hard to estimate the cost because part of this is that the only way that we're able to make this happen is that Post has been supportive and that they've put in a huge amount. So they've paid a lot of the consultants. This is what we wanted. We went to Post and said, we really need housing. And part of why we even applied to lease that parcel was because none of the parcels that we were on, they all had issues that made it difficult. Part of what's taken so long is that we are tenants and we have not been able to purchase land, and the inability to purchase it means that we have to rely on the good graces of other people. And the reason that we even applied and made a bid for this parcel was because this particular parcel, Post goal with the parcel was 5-year lease, 2-year option to buy. What they're trying to do is protect the farmland and get it in the hands of farmers. And so we saw this as an opportunity for a piece of land that actually had some spots that were above the flood zone, measured flood zone, that were, that we could build on for farming for housing, had some existing structures on them. But yeah, it's taken, part of what's taken years is so many things. Getting through the bureaucratic hoops is not something that is easy for someone who is not an expert or is not a professional in doing this.
Or who doesn't have.
Or doesn't
owner
have
of the
the
property.
money,
Yeah.
and doesn't have, so we. Like with this parcel, part of what's taken so long is, initially we leased it, thinking there'd be this 2-year option to buy. It's taken a number of years to separate the parcel. But that is because the lot line adjustments have taken time. All this stuff is taking time. In the meantime, we decided that let's forge ahead with the housing.
So you're on a 5-year lease.
I think we're still on this
So who's in charge of making sure that we maintain, because historically.
So
no
this is
offense,
why-
but they usually kind of do the opposite, you know, they, they want to take a lot of rights, and do that. So my question is, maybe I shouldn't have posed that to you, I should have posed it to Post. Are you really gonna continue to keep this farmland house? I mean, I guess you could say yes, and I don't know if you tell me the truth. You
We
know,
have to, according to the loan, forgivable terms. But to James's question, the coastal development permit application process is such a big hurdle. And one of the things the task force, early feedback report like 6 months ago, when we had a list of potential recommendations for the future. One of the things on there was a coastal development exemption for farm labor housing. And I think that would be a game changer. Harry, you could probably speak to that too, but it's so much effort to assemble all that planning wants and then building environmental health. But if we could get that exemption on some of the lands for farm labor housing, I think it would be huge.
Yeah, I think that the only way that us trying to wade through this on our own, like we did it for years, trying to figure out how we were gonna do this. And I think that the reason it's moving forward is that Coast has engaged someone who's an expert to help us get through that process, but the county isn't providing that, right? I think what's needed is that, oftentimes I think farmers can be willing partners in creating housing or being a site for housing for farm workers, but without technical support, it's really challenging. We have businesses to run. We're like, our days are so full, and finding time to keep working on this has been it's very challenging. We basically have a couple months in the winter, then things slow down, and then we hit our summer season. We're not finding more.
So this question from the post. Since we're talking about these difficulties of needing your expertise to get through, I was wondering if you could share with us how much you think in legal expertise of getting through all those permits and documentation that Post has spent through. Because that really needs to be added into the cost of what it actually takes.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head.
Yeah, of course.
It's a huge commitment, and it's a barrier. I mean, we submitted our initial application not this September, but last September for planning, and it took us a couple of years to pull all the information and hire the biologist and land use planner and the septic designer with the perk test and all of the things. It's a lot. The CDX would definitely help reduce that.
How much do you think the CDX would actually reduce dollar-wise though?
I think considerably.
The TDX would require still a submittal package, that's what some of it is streamlined.
Even after that, it's still gonna be too much to get through for a normal person.
So that's true. I don't want to get too sidetracked. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing is the cost, so they're giving us $900,000. We're gonna go way beyond that 20%. We already have, that's not figuring any more. We put in years in this, and countless meetings and, meetings with Post, meetings with Sandy, meetings with engineers, meetings with companies that we were trying to work with, we were trying to figure out how to build meetings with each other. And none of our time is factored into this. Our time, looks like a zero there in terms of value. That if we were paying for our time, then
That's what we need to know.
Right, but I think that's something good for another time. That's a
Yeah,
good point, but I don't want to just focus in on this right now, but you're absolutely right, James. Peter, the chairperson of Peter Markey, did you still have your hand raised?
Yeah, I just actually your last meetings, and this is one of the things that we're working on, and then is how to help farmers in the coast. And the big issue came up with housing, and that we're brainstorming, and we've got a lot of different ideas that we're going to start coming in our meetings to become. But you guys aren't really not putting.
No,
No.
And yeah, I know housing is very important. And this, I mean, we're farm from dad, dad and grandfather started in the coast of our Fish Point Lighthouse in 1952. And at the beginning, it was to rent from Carmen family to us, and 3 generations, and then later on, folks acquired it. And we had a housing, farmland housing complex that housed 25 people and a packing shed and outbuildings. And because parts wanted it down, it's for the real issue. It went by the wayside, and we know how important housing is and water rights and whatnot. So it's also important to have a good long lease so that they will be protected. So there will be a turnaround in the future. I see posts probably come over here with their policy to support ag. I remember Audrey Russ had a ag summit saying that the policy change to work with the state. They did that for about a decade, and then we went back working with the farmers, say freedom of protection for all the working in time to have a good long lease the box and buy. It would be really good because I know how much time it is to put all and all of us here and see how much time you guys have put into it.
And it's not just time, but I could see the passion when you speak about your farm, and that's how we felt about ours. So to have something pulled under the rug is devastating, especially if it's done in ways that aren't necessarily, but go ahead.
Yeah, so that's just a little bit of tidbit on that there. So, and the other thing too is I noticed, correct me if I'm wrong, but according to the map, the buildings aren't clustered with the lines and all.
No,
They are clustered from the point of view of the whole property. It's a narrow valley and they're within about 75 feet of the barns, so
Oh, okay,
it's
it looked
considered
like
clustered.
from the
Yeah.
map, it looked really.
We have to stay out of the flood zone,
Okay.
100-year
So
flood
they're-
line. And then there's setbacks from Oakwood has a water, we does have a domestic water program free. So we have it basically there's squeeze on the lower part. We're also trying to keep the field open. So like when you're looking at the map, there's an access road. So rather than put the housing in the field in front of the sheds, we want to keep it adjacent to the road, which is less usable land. It's just not pretty.
Well, I thank you for your time in presenting this. Chair recognizes Cole.
Just wanted to second one thing James said about potentially using this particular case study as sort of a case study for the county to learn about how to make this more efficient. I think, in a county where a lot of our ag has been going down, as you all know, you guys as a business are heading to a large degree and employing a lot larger than people, growing a lot of acres. It seems like it's a home run as far as like the county should be, in a second, making an effort to have housing work for you guys and being able to have approve this. In fact, it's taken a decade to approve. I
I've been
think
saying a decade in the sense that we wanted the
Yeah,
housing. in a
totally.
decade.
In a decade.
This particular thing has been it's still been many
Yeah.
years.
Coming up on
I think we've been listening for 8 years, 7
18
years.
months.
yeah. So, but
We've been getting-
yeah, but I think in terms of just the fact that it's taking that long, I think it's if it's taking this long for a situation where it's very clear that this should be approved, there's obviously a lot of issues here. And yeah, it seems like a perfect case study, frankly, for the county to be looking at this and trying to figure out how can we do this, whether it's CDX or whether it's something else. Just one second, I wonder if we should formalize sending a letter. I don't know if it would be helpful to do this, but formally requesting the county should get some sort of case study on this particular situation.
I think.
Well, I think a lot of the situations have been like this, though. I'm just saying, it's very
Totally,
difficult.
a lot have,
Here,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because we have an agenda coming up next meeting, how to help farmers stay on the coast, we could incorporate it. in that.
Absolutely.
Good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because
Yeah.
I love what you're saying, but I think that is perfect for that context.
Yeah,
yes.
definitely.
And which certainly please join us if you can, if you have the time, because we are planning meetings that are geared toward helping to preserve farming on San Mateo County coast.
Is that John?
John, oh, I thought you guys were him. Okay. Oh, gosh, John, well, I must have talked to John. Sorry, John. Sorry, now I knew somebody.
I just want to send you happy to see you guys. That's, I'm glad that you have the support funding wise from the county and through from post. And then I also just wanted to say for perspective, like hearing what you were saying about all the challenges, it just like was completely reflective of the experience I had with doing mine, you know, and so it's a little disheartening to know that the county hasn't really done much to make this experience any more efficient, you know, and a number of years have gone by and they have gotten a lot of feedback, like even like a lot personally from my experience. So it's not, you know, they had somebody on staff doing surveys around, and so they have gotten the feedback. And yeah, just there hasn't been a lot of improvements.
Yeah, one of the things that we're doing in the meetings coming up is that we are taking some of the difficulties in this county and putting that right up in parallel to other adjacent counties so that we can see the differences and hopefully we'll be able to, hopefully that will help to make it so that we could be more like other counties. The chair, go ahead, Peter, and then Carrie. Sorry. Brian, were you done? Because
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Real quick, is like for an instance or an example, there's a big push for ADUs, but you can't do it in the PAD. In other words, we need housing, let's do this, do that in Monterey County, begging owners to do an ADU in the garage, do the ADU, where we are, we have plots of land, 200 acres big, can't do that, can't county we are. So,
yeah, and it's very different from other counties, sadly, with similar structures and similar soils. The chair recommends Carrie Burke.
So development, I don't need to tell you, in the rural area requires, persistence, and obviously you and many others have demonstrated that. But I mean, every parcel, why it's so tough is because every parcel is different. It has different qualities and different opportunities, and usually lots of obstacles. And it does take time to figure it out and not to box yourself into a corner. And so I think we have to really be realistic in that for the level of infrastructure that is required for people to live safely on a parcel, that requires a lot of forethought. You're making a huge investment, you don't want to make a mistake. So, and the reality of it is you thought it through, and it does take time, but you know, to distill it down so that you hopefully avoid some really big mistakes. I think that, that's something that we do have to take into account, but I think there's always been a discussion about streamlining, and hopefully, if you didn't have to go through the two-tiered process about a whole separate CDP, and then you actually, when you have to file for your building permit, that you actually get reviewed by the same departments again, that could save a lot of time. So there are some ways that, that I know that this committee and a lot of interested people will be providing. But I do have some specific questions about this application. On that well, how good of a well is that that's going to support this housing to be converted for domestic?
Yeah, I think we got.
It's over
11,
10
yeah, it's over 11 gallons.
Okay, well, I mean, so that meets the county minimum standard, but with treatment, that's the other issue, is if it needs treatment, then you're really skating at the, you're right up against, rules for, public health and safety. Because,
We already have to put in treatment because we are using some of the water for wash water. And so we've already had to go down that road.
But see, that's something else, because especially on rural properties, to me, what a great chance to maybe do a demonstration project and get some gray water and other applications, so one doesn't for how much land area that septic system's taking, but that you could use that water in other applications, so you're not stressing out your well, so I just think that it would really be great is on some of these projects that are funded, that they could have some innovative projects, which the county has an invested interest in tracking on what happens. And if they can do some things that then make, make all the projects going forward more efficient. So, I mean, but I think that's where, we can think about it because, it just takes a lot to do it, to bring power in, on the site, on the site, on the floor plan, I know that those are kind of, packaged plans, but, are there gonna be laundry rooms, in this is, I don't even see a place for a furnace or a water heater, in these plans. I mean, I know they have to be in that unit somewhere, but I mean, those are other things that are a nice, in some facilities, people have separate wash houses, but,
We didn't want to risk overload just with water. We wanted to be sure we had total enough water. So unfortunately, this is a problem with Pasadena. There's no laundry service, and a lot of people grab the laundry to laundry, but that was one thing we decided.
they had that mobile.
They have a mobile washer dryer trailer that shows up.
Yeah.
We can do that. The hot water heaters are in the building permits and that'll more clear.
Yeah, I mean, I know that that's still kind of just generic, but hopefully they'll still have all those items in the unit, because I know that they have to be approved by the state, so. Good luck.
Carrie, you can call Greg Smith about the gray line.
I know.
Yeah, it'd be lovely if this, promise of
No, I know.
technical support was actually real.
Yeah.
Was there anybody else that had a question for this nice applicant? No, Carrie, thank you. I did want to point out just to the county person, just so you know, I think I speak for all of us that are concerned about the time taking is not relevant of any difficulties with the assistance the county's given, because over, at least for myself, every time I go there, you're very helpful. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, just to be clear, I'm not with the county, I'm a private planning consultant, I typically help landowners like.
Okay, that is it. I'm never aggressive. I keep getting you wrong.
But, yeah,
It's something about her. I keep doing that.
yeah.
But thank you for.
Yeah, sure, well, I see, it seems to be my mission to help landowners and farmers these days, so.
So you do a
Yeah.
lot like Carrie's done
Yeah.
over the years. Well, thank you. We really appreciate that. So Olivia, that was addressed to you then. And of course, I can't speak for everyone, I should say that, but for myself, well, it's taken time and there's things we don't agree with. For the most part, you've been helpful in teaching us things. So any other questions for this project? No? Okay. Should we vote? Okay, so do we have a motion to either approve it, not approve it, or table it to another meeting?
I'll make the motion to recommend approving.
I'll second that.
Okay, so those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Those you're abstaining,
I'd say.
I abstain. And obviously, for the record, John Bars recused himself. I love your passion for your farm. I think it's beautiful. And I hope you don't think I'm being corny when I say it, but that's all we've ever known. And it means the world to us. Thank you for your presentation.
Can I ask who was the person who seconded?
Once
Thank you.
Okay, so next is that,
Those four of those leaves. And then Paul Ryan.
what does that mean then? Does that mean it doesn't pass? It still passes, correct? You don't have to have five. No. Okay, so next is, the action request, we did, discussion items. Tuscadero Fire Station Mitigation Measures Committee Member Chair Natalie Sear submitted a letter written by the AAC addressed to the county on October 22nd, 2024. Okay, and so Olivia sent us a response letter from the county. You all sent that in your packet, or when she had emailed it a while back. It was addressed on November 21st. I had a concern about this, and that is, my concern is that in the letter that we sent to the county regarding this, we asked that we keep abreast of any mitigation properties as they are considered for our duties as an ag advisory committee to the county regarding prime ag land. While I understand that the county is partnering with Post, it is imperative that we still are kept in the loop to advise as a land is still prime ag land. And the very fact that they say in their letter that they're partnering with Post, that means that they're still involved as a partner, that them being in the county. So when you read the letter, while I very much, and I want to be clear, appreciate the response, the question that we as a committee posed wasn't answered. And that is, can we please keep abreast of the different possible mitigation properties and brought to us so that we could do our due diligence that we've been asked to do, which is to advise the county regarding prime ag land. And that's what I say. Anybody else have something to say about that? And when you read through the letter, if in fact you see that they've answered the question and I somehow missed it, please let me know.
So you're referring to item number 10.
It's a number 10 A, and it's the letter, it's at the back of our packet. The county sent to us on November 21st, 2024, regarding our question, asking people, yes, be a part of it.
To mitigate for the prime agricultural conversion, the county is partnering with Pennsylvania Post to contribute funds equivalent to the cost of 3.5 acres.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about in that letter, but the very question we asked.
Well, I'm just reading it,
circumvented.
trying to read it carefully.
No, I'm glad you're, no, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Because if I missed it, I want to know. I've never written a letter and not gotten the answer, except when I was up against a few things bureaucratically in the past. And that concerns me because I really had hoped we're all working jointly here. The county was working jointly with us on this. And maybe I was being naively optimistic.
Yeah, I guess is the assertion here that because this approach is acceptable to the coastal commission, therefore it's good enough, and so that's kind of where they're trying to leave it.
But they're partnering with them, so they're still involved. So shouldn't we be kept abreast of it like we asked? Or if in fact that's the reason, they should have said that more directly. Don't you think? Like, where do you see that they're saying that?
Yes, I'm not disagreeing with you.
No,
I'm just trying to
I'm not disagreeing.
to try to understand what the letter is actually saying to us.
No, I know you're not disagreeing. I'm just trying to figure out the inference of it and where they're inferring, because inference is not my strong point.
We asked many times not only to keep us in the loop, but to use us for our expertise so we can give him, we can give them feedback from our committee. And it's like we're kind of being ignored. And the other thing too is when they made the change because before it had to be one that was not farm, and then when they made the change to what Post. My concern is one, Post is in the business of doing easements anyways. So if they say we're doing an easement for this property, it's for the fire. Well, it's a secondary gain. They're doing it anyways. And so you're really not getting anything when they're doing it. And they're excluding private ownership, private property ownership. Maybe that, why can't it be open to everybody? And somebody else that has greater than 3.5 acres, say, I'll do an easement. And even if I do easement with a open space group or whatever, for the fact that it goes towards the fire department or something like that, why is it exclusive to post?
And that's correct, but that ship may have sailed because we haven't been a part of it.
Yeah,
So, but here, like, do you see the inference in what you said, John, on 1, 2, 3, on paragraph 5? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it sounds as though, well, maybe I'm not sure, but the mitigation requirement is due to the coastal commission's demands. And because they have consulted, I guess the county and maybe Post has consulted with the coastal commission and they have approved of this approach, then they're taking the stance that like, well, we are doing the mitigation thing like we promised. It's just, this is how we're doing it.
Well, that's
they did change how they're doing it.
right. But that's true. But our question was,
Can we be kept
we get
abreast?
it, but our letter was really clear, especially in the last 2 paragraphs. We're asking you, can we please be kept abreast of the possible mitigation properties that you choose and allow us to give you input as we signed up to do, so to speak. So that was like a clear, direct question, and it doesn't seem they answered that. I mean, they gave us a lot of information that I very much appreciate it, but the question hasn't been answered. Does that make sense? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, the chair recognizes Jake, okay?
I feel like the county has made up their mind and they're not interested in listening to any more discussions of it, to be honest.
Wow, that
That's-
part's true, but they should answer the question.
I,
And if they're gonna tell us to shove it, then just say, it, shove it.
This might be their way of saying.
yeah,
Right, but the point is, we as a committee take the time to write this letter, to meet and talk about it, to be appointed to advise the county. And then when in fact we asked the question, if we could please be given a hammer to put in the nail, to give us the tools to do our job.
They want us to
Then-
be seen, not heard.
Right, they're not, they ignore the question, and that's a concern. So my ask is, rather than write another letter, can we, through Olivia, ask them if they could please answer that question that we asked in the original letter? And I understand all the information they're giving us, but the very fact that they are partnering with Post, that means they're still a part of it, and we are an advisor to them, and it's still prime ag land, and it's still our place to give input and be abreast of these, this mitigation property, and be abreast of what's going on and what the possible choices are. Whether they choose to listen to us or not is their choice, but that's the very job we've been given to do, and we want to do that job. So Olivia, do you guys all agree to ask Olivia if she can just ask them if they could please answer their original letter?
I've made a note of it.
Sure everybody agrees with it, because I don't want to speak for everyone. Do you all agree with that, or?
I don't know if I particularly agree.
Yeah, I think we should just
At this point, I feel
take
like
any changes.
doing it, the county is just gonna get antagonized by us. I feel like that's what they've already done.
Just put it in writing.
That is what they
Like,
want.
and I feel like if we continue to be a thorn in their side, it concerns me that in the future that will continue instead of having a more open dialogue.
What do you think, Carrie?
I don't like to give up.
I don't like to give up, but
I think we have tried.
James has got some wisdom there.
yeah, yeah. I'm with Peter. I don't like to give up, but I respect James and Ryan's, I'm sorry. James and Mr. Casey and, Carrie's opinion very much. So if you all feel that way, and people, you know, I don't know, I think maybe could we do a compromise and we say, can it be noted that we got your letter and we understand that you're not answering the question. I mean,
I think the better way to write something like that would be
I don't want to write.
for future projects, we would like to be more involved. Something like that. It's kind of, yeah.
Could we say that, without,
Future project, would like you to use our-
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we've already said that.
we did, we did.
But you have on
I
that.
just don't want to write another letter because
Next time, right?
it was ignored.
Right, and important. Use-
I think it's a difficult pill to swallow. I do appreciate that they took the time to write this back, but I believe that we were here for a reason. And I think you kind of get what you give.
Yeah, at the same time, our role is advisory, and so ultimately the county is going to make decisions, sometimes with or without us. And
No, I
in this
agree.
case, it's like this fire station is really important to them. This was the place they found.
But they're not even letting us advise, is my
But
point.
we have
We can.
advised, and they have
Yeah, but-
chosen to not take that.
But the last meeting that it was discussed was they were going to bring the mitigation properties to us. But instead of doing that, they changed the zoning from
To just say that.
to
oh, Post is gonna
institutional,
pay
so
for-
they didn't have to come to us.
I don't think they ever said that they would have to come back to us.
They didn't say they had to, but that's what
Yeah.
was discussed with them, that they
I
wanted, right?
I don't even think they ever said that. I think we always said that, but the county never agreed to our asks ever. So I think the whole time, it's just we've been talking and they've already made up their mind years ago.
Not to have this. I'm just confused because our role is to advise on that kind of land, prime ag land on the San Mateo County coast. So,
But I'm sure they have advice from lots of different groups too.
You know, still about the fire station, sidestep a little bit, when I went to the PMAC meeting. And, you know, firemen were there, wanted to put their fire station, great water there. There was, what was brought up, was there's a lot of people that wanted, water from CSA 11 that weren't able to get it, and that's being ignored. And I even brought up that, I think it was 2014, I met with Dr. Horsley, Horsley, Sarah Roosevelt, to be hooked up with CSA 11, and they said through LAFCO, it was deemed for the township alone. And now here, they're moving for water for a fire station and not residents that would like to get hooked up. And, if we could even write a letter stating that, that has been mentioned to the public many times, that residents of Pescadero would like to be hooked up to the CSA 11 system, where you're ignoring and pushing forward to the fire to have Trump residents. And that way there, you see it from us in writing. And
well, that's actually D under discussion items. And so we could go to that and close this one up. It sounds like most of the people agree to let it go. Peter and I agree differently, but the majority here agree to let it go. Is that correct?
we're not gonna win anyways, James says.
Okay, all right.
We might
So-
as well run into a tree or at least.
So we'll
feel
let it go. But for the record, my question wasn't answered.
Yeah, I think for
Drives
the
me
record,
nuts.
I think there's general
Our
agreement that the
question.
question was answered in a way that didn't really answer the question. And I think James makes a good point that like to preserve, to not try to like, to avoid creating a more antagonistic relationship than we might already have, with the hope that our advice is taken seriously in the future, you know, maybe this is okay to let this one go.
Okay, okay. All right, well said. Okay. So, we'll move to the, thank you, move to the next one. It is all committee members propose to holding AAC monthly meeting approximately January, June 2025 to invite different categories of farmers to AAC meetings to collect ideas on the following topics. And this, Olivia, we're on 10B. I saw that you sent me an email on this asking about this, and I'm sorry I didn't actually see the email until recently because this time of year I'm so swamped. But this, instead of drafting steps and paths for the county, basically we agreed to consolidate it. So it's just drafting steps and paths for the county to help preserve farming on the San Mateo County coast, just that one sentence. Is that what we agreed on last time? Basically, and that would encompass farm labor, housing, and everything else. Drafting steps and paths for the county to help preserve farming on the San Mateo County coast, period. And then farm labor, housing, and all those other things fall under that. And that's what we were inviting people to talk about. So that's what I wanted to correct that to just that one sentence.
Okay, thank you. So let me go ahead and I had a late meeting with management. One, because I was on vacation the week of Thanksgiving, and then I was out with the flu all last week. I was able to get some information for today, knowing that people wanted the committee wanted to get some idea of realistically of what could happen. So I've sent out an email to the Ted Adcock staff and check on inquiries of what is feasible, because we need the same similar setup that we have in this room, this South Day room, that we would need in the gym room, which is across the hallway. And so I've put in an inquiry to them, and obviously for including costs, setup, all of those items. And realistically, just with the timing, I don't know what they're going to come back with. And it may be that nothing confirmed, but it might be that February is going to be the earliest. It just really depends on what support equipment and support staff, et cetera, they already have in place.
Okay, but changing 1 and 2 to one sentence of drafting steps and paths for the county to help preserve farming on the San Mateo County coast, changing the mission to that. Just
yes,
one
I have
sentence.
that.
That's okay. You got that? Okay.
I have
And
that.
that sounds fine with me, February. Does that sound fine to you guys? I'm happy to get that. I want to go back super fast, if it's okay, to the fire station. I just got a text from a member of the public. I'm not sure who this is, but I think it's somebody who lives in Pescadero. If you have any people that are raising their hand on the.
No, I don't.
They're asking, they said, we were told that mediation property would be prime soils that have never previously been farmed. Is that no longer the requirement? Did the rule change?
Change, and he's right. Yeah, it's supposed to be.
That's how it was initially
They
presented.
were initially supposed to be, that was never farmed. And
At the PMAC meeting, they said they changed that. Is that correct?
at the PMAC meeting, the fire said, I don't know who she was, that they went to the coastal commission and asked if it would work, that if coast puts 3.5 acres, I think that's what the amount, into a easement to preserve farmland, and the coastal commission that'll. So they went, because the coastal commission asked for this certain criteria, they asked the coastal commission if it could be changed to what I just
Okay.
said.
So
And they-
what has been changed is that it doesn't have to be. It does have to be one that's not been previously farmed and is the deal.
Right, and it could be
Okay.
any private soil that post would put easement on to preserve it, and which is not the original. Basically, it's changing the rules of the game.
Right. I think that from
The end of the game.
yeah,
End of the game.
yeah, exactly. I think that when the rules have already been put in place, exactly. And I think that it's that kind of
Football team playing
can change the rules. I think
last
it's
2 minutes.
it's that kind of stuff that, you know, that we obviously that's our role to be involved in. But
And not only that, that was also, the fire department was basically saying, we need to move the fire department to the high school. We need this, me, and I was told point blank, when I was able to speak, this is that I met with Don Horsley and Sarah Rosenbaum, 2014. And I said that I want to be hooked up. And they said, no, because of the dean and the township of Lofco. And I said, well, what's wrong with me? This is what, I don't count. And I said, because you're the fire department, you don't do that 24/7. And I have a housing complex that does.
that's been, I think that's a point of contention for a lot of
And it's
residents.
silence. It's silence.
Yeah.
I said, what's wrong with me? But I don't count. I'm no good. You know what I mean? My workers, or, you know, and all this here.
That's a point of contention. I think a lot of people must go. But we'll go back to it when we get to D. I just wanted to make sure that he didn't think I was ignoring him. Because he's very, very well versed on this matter. So I wanted to take that.
And the other thing too, that I raised at this meeting
Yes.
is this is, I don't know if you guys know how that property was acquired. This is where the high school is. It was acquired by the use of the eminent domain. And it was a farm, the whole way was a farm, and it was acquired. So they took it prime soil out of production to put a high school there, because the experts predicted by year 2000 there'd be 2,000 kids there. Well, it's 20 years past 2000.
Wow.
I says, and at least the part that they're not using, they're renting to a farmer, so it stays in farming. Well, if a fire department goes there, it's not gonna stay into farming. And the point was, that a part of eminent domain was specifically used for a high school. Now they're using the land for something else. At least let it continue being farmed.
Yeah.
And so, and
I think it's a very appropriate point of contention.
and you had a group of students there saying that they deserve clean water and all.
Which is true.
Which I also pointed out 8 years ago, the superintendent called me and said, Peter, I heard that you have a filtration system that's would suit our needs. I says that you no longer use it. I said, that's correct. And he said, are you willing to sell it? Yeah. And he said, well, we have no money. I said, well, when you figure out, call me. And I never heard from him. Well, I see one reason why they lack a lot of money is this post is gobbling up all this property, and they don't pay taxes like private property owners. So
Pescadero doesn't get the tax money,
they
yes.
don't get the tax money and all this here. And it says, and so
I think,
You know, I do think we need to get off this subject. This horse is dead and bloodied on the road. If you wanna start planning public discussion on how to preserve farming in San Mateo County. Because if you were gonna do it in February, you have one more meeting, 2 hours next month.
Well, I think that's gonna be easy to do. I've done those kinds of things before with my works prior to being a farmer. So that's gonna be pretty easy, but I thank you for that. But I also think that it's important to address what the public member told us. And I also think as a committee, I totally respect and we'll move forward because the majority said to do that. But I also think as a committee, I just want to throw out there, we have to be careful about the things that we drop and let go. Because if we let go too many of them, then pretty soon we're going to be pushed more and more to the wayside, you know? So, and that's important. And the reason that what he's talking about matters is because like every history person has told you when you were in school, history repeats itself and it matters. And we're trying to protect that.
Right, but I don't think we gave without it. But we put in great effort
Right.
to try and get
No,
involved.
you're
It's
right, we
how they
did.
made us, yeah, we just need to know when to let go and move on. I think we're constructive.
One other thing too,
Yeah, you're right.
I want to mention that I did not mention that feedback next time report that I did is 1979. I was in the committee for the budget for the Pescador School. The superintendent invited me to attend that, and one of the things that he did talk about for balancing the budget for the school was to shut down Pescador High School and bus the kids from Pescador Half Bay and the ones from Honda to Woodside. There you got your clean water like that. They want that put there it is. So
Yeah.
and so
Okay, well, that's a good point, but actually, and the next thing is C, thank you here, is the agritourism event application title. Discussion to recommend revision to the application title to encourage new applicants. So we agreed and the county said, and I appreciate you letting us know, revised references to agritourism permit exemption. At the beginning of the meeting, I asked Olivia if they would show us the completed document before it's used for applicants, and she's going to look into that. Is there any other discussion on that? No. Okay. D, Pescadero Fire Station pipeline. So going back to the water component of it, committee member Cole Mazarago, Senate Anastasio suggests the committee draft a letter for this topic addressed to the county. Cole, do you want to take that?
Sure. I think that was from our previous meeting back in October. I think it was when that came up. And so the main thing I think we discussed was just which residents in the community who could theoretically tap into the new water pipeline. It would just be suggesting that is taken into consideration. I might have just simply reach out a letter, recommending that there is at least a public forum of some sort. So people can potentially tap into the pipeline.
Do you want to write a letter that's like a committee letter, like we did with my letter? And if so, would you be able to bring it to the next meeting?
I think that'd be the right one. If there's no
What is our angle as far as how this affects agriculture? Like in your case, you gotta have local workers, but
Yeah, I think
that's why we're here as a group.
right. How many farms? Do you know how many farms, like, right, that are affected by this?
I can think of two in particular. So and it sounds like, and I know speaking with one of the farms in particular that would be affected by it, they would like to have access to water.
Are you able to find out, like, for sure how many farms? Because they'll probably give it a letter more impact, right?
First of all,
Yeah.
one that bought the old high school on North Street, they're trying to get hooked up to CSA 11, and they're going to be housing. They have that complex house of farm workers. There's two there, and I remember back in the day they bypassed level E, and there's three. And just thinking off the top of my head, you found.
So we should probably
What about
put in a letter.
Yeah, R&R, I know
four.
yes, farmer hasn't moved to
There's four.
as well.
Carrie?
Well, the old high school has the same problem that the fire station has. It need LCP amendment because that's zone PAD. So in order for them, and with the CSA, they have to get a special exemption to, be in the CSA because they're in the rural area. So they're not included in the CSA 11.
I agree, I get that.
Wow.
My point is the fire department gets it each month, but
No, I understand, but I'm just saying that then they would have concerns about how vigorous the well is for the people who are currently being served.
There too.
So there's a fairness, there's a fairness issue globally there.
Because I think that
Yeah.
water isn't necessarily there forever.
Well, the thing is, the level's going down. And
Yeah.
it's either pool water it's taking them, or what's going in is not as great as what they're pulling out.
Right.
So more people pull out of it, and then it's
And
gonna
then we'll
deplete quicker.
Complete more quickly, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And that was one of the other arguments with the fire station too.
So wait a minute, yeah, go ahead.
Well, then, but the other thing is, once they bought it, knowing what they had, sometimes you can't buy something wishing you might
No, I understand that. My point still is.
I'm just
if they
saying,
can get
it's like
it,
if
I
you-
want to get it to them.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's
Okay,
like,
but isn't, so the old high school's at the end of North Street, right? So,
Yeah.
but those houses, like, where does it stop? Doesn't it, but all the other houses on North Street have it, right?
I don't know.
no,
Somewhere
there's a
it
part, that
stops.
part of that end is own PAD. Down by in Harley and everything, that end of North Street's PAD.
And then where the
So
old
they-
high school is PAD, you can
PAD.
choose for flowers.
Because remember, because yeah, the nursery,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And what about, but the high school property is owned PAD RMZ, right?
that was part they just rezoned it.
Well, they rezoned it to institutional.
Yeah.
But that's what
I mean,
originally
it
was, okay. Huh, interesting, okay.
Eh,
I think that, you know what, is. I think you should write this, in my opinion, I don't know how you all feel, but I think you should write the letter, and I think you should get together with Peter, and if Carrie can, I know you got a lot on your plate, but if you can just.
We'll volunteer.
Take a phone call from
Well,
Cole, and you
absolutely.
can gather all this, you know?
This
I
committee,
think it would be
all of
great.
this could be my whole.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be, I think
Uh,
access to that, and with everything that you're envisioning, which is wonderful. I believe, if you all believe it, if you don't or whatever, you know, say it, but I think that'd be a great thing. What do you all think?
Ryan, I get your point definitely in terms of, I think there's not a whole lot of agricultural applications in terms of irrigation. I do.
Oh, I wasn't talking about irrigation.
Yeah,
No,
just
I
rather
or
than-
just in
general,
we're an
is that-
agricultural group, want to make
Yeah,
sure
make
we
sure
write a
that-
letter. and
Yeah,
it's,
the reason,
support agriculture.
the reason I think that I brought it up even in the last meeting or 2 meetings ago, in October was because one farmer who would benefit from this use, who's not here, to be clear. He said he'd like to tap into it, and I thought that would be at least something we should discuss accordingly, because he does have some house farm workers.
Yeah.
So that was my thought, that I'm not necessarily set on, I guess that is a question of what is the scope of how we go.
I disagree. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm a little bit further down the road than the high school, but I mean, like, if this, I would love to tap into a public water supply, whether it's CSA 11 or maybe it could be, please invest in a bigger water system or a desalination plant or something so that you can get it to everyone and the farmers that need it.
Fog
Because-
harvesting.
Yeah, I
Fog, I hate
mean, we
What'd you say?
spend,
So you could, oh, I think you can get drinking water from the bog, but not
Oh, God.
how much.
Go ahead.
I mean, we probably spend 150,000 or more on water treatment a year. And we would love to be able to hook up to just a public water supply, so we don't have to worry about it.
Reliable water.
Yeah.
Wow,
You have a portion.
I'm sorry, Daniel.
I was actually gonna see if I could move back to B for 1 second before we went out.
Secretary.
That's what I thought.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
was like.
Oh, I don't even know what the secretary does. But just in terms of planning ahead on this, it sounds like we know the venue, right? It's gonna be ideally in the larger room here in this building.
Ideally,
Olivia's, but we do know the date.
right?
So I'm just wondering if, and we already decided on who the first group would be.
Yeah, and it's in the packet. Olivia wrote it out.
So, given that we've got pretty good visibility on all those things, I think we should send out some messaging to the people to tell them to come.
I agree, but she's got to check.
The bathroom.
I would
But she-
hesitate to confirm the details of getting the room across the way the gym is not confirmed.
She needs to confirm that we get that menu.
We need
But
to
I-
worry about the funds to the fund, or all the coordination is still in the works.
When I talked to the guy from Half Moon Bay Park and Rec, he said that room, they do not have internet capabilities. So the room you can't do Zoom. And I asked him, I said, well, you have your city council there and they're required to be Zoom out now,
Good call.
just like we are. And he said, yes, they broadcast over PCTV, the coastside TV. So I don't know. And I don't know what the expense to PCTV is. You know what I mean?
I got a question. If we did it in this room, can we just get rid of the tables and just have chairs? Because, or do it classroom style, because like when you look at a venue, you can fit much more people in classroom style than you can this style. Right, so maybe we
Put
should
the
just do
tables
that.
in there.
Yeah,
Use this room.
that's a
I
great
think that's-
idea.
Might be an option.
Can we have that as a second option?
We get 10 people. to
Is
show up.
it absolutely required to be on Zoom?
It's a public, my understanding from when I was on council, it's a public meeting. Zoom has to be a compliant.
Since
Since
COVID?
yes. Remote participation. I'll check with John Nivlin tomorrow.
Okay.
And see.
That would be
Yeah.
good, because that would satisfy, you just have it in person.
Or if that doesn't work, if we have to do it, if we find out that we take out one of these.
I just kind of feel like if we're gonna do it effectively, we kind of need to give people 2 months' notice to plan, get it on the calendar. I mean, one is better than nothing, but if we want to advertise and actually get some people to show up and take it seriously, I think we need to give them a little bit more.
I agree, but the problem is we don't have confirmation on the venue. We could just.
Oh,
drop
so
that
I guess we
venue
can
and go
wait.
with it.
We can
Yeah.
wait and then do it in March, then make sure that we advertise effectively.
I agree with you. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
What's the number for the largest group? Is it 10 people, 20 people, 30 people?
Probably not. Probably would be my guess.
Okay, I just was reference the fall.
Yeah.
First group was. Here.
You
Olivia,
might get more participation if you have a Zoom.
do you have your, you had nicely, pointed out the different groups, but, I can't find it in my packet. So do you have it right there?
Let me look, the email that I had sent you,
Correct.
let me pull that up.
Thank you, Carrie.
Time check.
Carrie, is it okay if Cole calls you?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Time check.
I have Farmers of Flowers Nursery, which includes indoor, outdoor plants, Christmas trees, cut flowers, nursery stock, potted plants. The next item is Ranchers, which is livestock, and then row crops, which you expect to be 30 to 40 people. Ornamentals, I wanted clarification on that, and then vegetables, 30 farmers, and fruit and nut crops.
But who do we want to start with?
The first one, I think she's got, but the first one is, what's the first one?
Flowers Nursery.
Flowers and nursery. I like Daniel's idea about pushing it back to March, so then we have time to advertise after we know for sure what venue. What do you all think of that?
I agree.
Okay, all right, is that okay, Olivia?
Sorry, what was that? Can you repeat that?
Pushing it back to March, speak so that, since you're not sure, because you still have to find out the venue, and then we want to make sure we get the information, we have enough time to market it and let people know.
Sure. Yeah,
So
thank you.
come back to March, is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, but that means we have to commit to like getting all the details done next meeting and starting advertising.
We can do it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Daniel, with you as secretary, we can do it.
You don't even know what a secretary is.
I totally get it. I get it. I wouldn't want to do it. It's too much. It's too difficult. I love it. I like the way James said it. So, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so at 8:59 PM, meeting adjourned.